Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Entrepreneur Encounters. Today, we're going to interview Ruben Gaona, the executive director of The Way Out. Ruben has an amazing entrepreneurial story to tell, and I'm not going to spoil it here. Listen to him tell it in his own words.
My name's Ruben Gaona. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas. I moved up here at the age of 15 to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I made Wisconsin my home pretty much. I joined the military. I am a Navy veteran. I'm also a former Department of Defense employee, and I'm also someone that you would call a justice involved individual. In March 1st of 2017, I came home from a 10-year federal prison sentence. Out of the 10-year federal prison sentence, I ended up doing a little close to 8 years due to good time behavior and of doing a lot of programs while I was incarcerated. And about 9 months of halfway house at the federal halfway house here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But upon coming home, I came out motivated, dedicated to wanting to be a case manager and help formerly incarcerated people that were returning back to Milwaukee and let them understand that our mistakes do not define who we are. We're better individuals. That doesn't dictate what we're going to do with life. So obviously, as a Navy veteran with all the soft skills I already had in place and a former Department of Defense, I actually thought that finding a job was not going to be hard for me. Little did I find out that within the first 2 weeks, I met with my halfway staff and I had 30 days to get a job. So I was like, I should be able to do this in a heartbeat. Nutshell. If I go find a job as a case manager, and I was told that it was going to be that the barrier of me being a felon was going to get in the way. And I laughed and I said, well, what they look at as a barrier, I look at strength because other people cannot relate to the people that are coming home. So I started dedicated putting in applications within 2 or 3 weeks, got various job interviews, but constantly got turned down because of my background, because I was a federal I don't like to use the word as a felon. That's why I say justice involved individual. So being that I was a involved individual, it all shattered and outshine the fact that I was a Navy veteran and what I could provide to employers. Eventually I found a company that gave me that an opportunity. I became a case manager within 45 days of being out of federal prison. And a year later, I was working with the state of Wisconsin. And within the 2 years that I was out, I saw the dying need of that it wasn't not just about connecting employers and employees. It was also about let's provide those supportive services. Let's be there for this individual, not only for 90 days like we were doing it where I was working at, but maybe further and let them understand that, you know what, there's a group of people here, there's organizations are here that are vested in you for you to be successful. So that right there actually started one of my journeys to wanting to become an entrepreneur. Like I said, it's not like every other person's journey, but mine was quite unique because I thought I was gonna get it. Once I got my state job, I looked at myself as retired as a state employee, making good amount of money and maybe moving up as a state employee. But there was a more dire need, and I felt inside my heart and passion that I could do a lot more.
There we go, folks, starting off with a bang. So Ruben came out of federal prison and he thought, I just need to go get a job. With my Navy experience and my Department of Defense background, this is not going to be that difficult. That was not the story at all. Kind of a rude awakening and difficult entry. So what did he do? He finds a job, but man, he can do a whole lot more. I know a lot of entrepreneurs talk about diving in after passion, but I want to talk about purpose. Ruben was pursuing his purpose. Purpose is what God put you on this earth to do. Let's listen to Ruben's story as he continues to figure out what that purpose is and how to put it into effect.
My business is called The Way Out, where I co-founded it along with my business partner, Eli Rivera. We're both co-founders. Eli Rivera happens to be the CEO. I happen to be the CEO. And we're breaking the cycle of incarceration through technology and living wage jobs. Unlike other second chance employment platforms, we only focus on bringing employers and employees together. We at The Way Out additionally focus on development and retention through ongoing training and support. We believe you're only as good as an employee as your life living circumstances. So that's a little bit of what we do.
I love that, Ruben. Said another way, if your living circumstances are no good, that's going to impact how you're going to be as an employee. How can you be a good employee with everything else around not all put together? Ruben's purpose is to reduce recidivism. That is the rate that people are going back to jail after they come out. That's his strong goal, motivated obviously by his own personal story, and it becomes his purpose in life. So I asked Ruben how he settled on The Way Out. Let's listen to his story.
people want to hear your story. Like people need to understand that you can make it out here. So I started attending social impact events, and it was in the fall of 2019 that American Family Insurance for Corporate and Social Impact, along with Generator, G Beta Social Impact, they hosted an event at Sherman Phoenix down at the Milwaukee Sherman Park neighborhood. And they asked one simple question, how can we reduce recidivism? And in that event, they had a panel discussion group of people that were formerly incarcerated while they had been successful. So from that event, they broke us up in groups, and I said, "This is where I get to share my story. This is where I get to share what I want to do as an entrepreneur, how I want to reduce recidivism." So I share my idea with a group of people that I was in there. Ironically enough, my partner was in the same event, but he was in a different group. So we didn't get to meet that day, but eventually within a couple of weeks of that event, we ended up getting connected by a third party. And we all share our life learning experiences. I found out that my partner was formerly incarcerated as well. So I'm like, you know what? This is meant to be. This is serendipity. So I was like, if this is not meant to be, then I don't know what it is. We're like, okay, let's start analyzing, think of what we want to do, how we want to do it.
One of the things that's making Ruben so successful is his ability to tell his story. When I first had the opportunity to meet and coach with Ruben, he told me his story and where he was thinking about going. I said, Ruben, the very first thing you need to do is you need to go out and tell your story to as many people as possible. That's what we're hearing here. He ultimately met who was going to be the partner for starting his business and continues to share that story. And they're building connections, they're building interlacing opportunities. Isn't that amazing? Maybe you can identify yourself here. Personally, I believe that God's got a plan for each of us. We started Milwaukee Small Business Coach because we believe that all entrepreneurs and small business owners deserve access to the tools and training they need in order to be successful and make the next wise decision for their business. For Ruben, he wants to make a smooth transition so that people can come out of justice impacted situations and be able to get right back on the employment track so that they have a better life and a better opportunity looking forward than they do potentially looking back. Regular listeners of this podcast will know where this story is going. It's customer discovery. Ruben's going to go out and he's going to find out what exactly do the customers want? What are they doing today? And what are going to be the great things that he needs to do to match his purpose with an amazing product and service? Let's listen.
We started doing research, asking employers whether they will provide second chance opportunity. Anywhere between 60 to 55% would say no. But then we twist it up on them and say, well, what about if we continue to provide supportive services to the people that you're going to provide second chances to? And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, we'll constantly be engaged with them in dialogue. And hopefully that turnover rate that you have when you hire someone will lower, saving you money. And they're like, you know what? Then yes. So we quickly saw that number go up to around 93, 94% that people started saying yes. And we're like, we're on to something here.
Did you hear that? By going out and actually talking to potential customers about what is the problem that's going on here that we can actually solve. The feedback he got was, are these employees going to be reliable? Important question. It's an important question for all the employee populations, but there's especially seems to be a gap around that. And Ruben looked at it and said, all right, there's a 50, 55, 60% acceptance rate. What if we wrap around and provide the actual support needed because I have the experience to be able to provide the support to make sure that people are going to be doing the things they need to be great employees. All of a sudden, we're talking about 93, 94% acceptance rate. By going out and talking to his target audience, he learned a crucial piece in order to not only make the service better, but to drive wild success throughout the whole program. Way to go, Ruben. That's an example I want all of us to cling on to. So many of us think we have the only solution. The core part of what we're going to do likely doesn't change. A lot of times it's how we do it, how we position it, or adding one or two additional pieces that really make it super powerful. And the only way we can find out is to ask customers and to hear what they have to say. Now let's listen to what Ruben does next.
All right. So now what do? We started doing a lot of pitch competitions to generate revenue. We were fortunate enough to win a couple. My partner won a big one from the Milky Way Tech Hub. So that gave us funding. We were like, how can we stay engaged with our Justice Bob job seekers that we're placing and we're helping? And we're saying, you know what better way than to create a self-learning mobile app called My Way Out, where we're actually in communication with these individuals and working with them so they could tell us what they need. How do you picture your way out to be? And that gives ownership to that individual of taking control of their life once again. So one of the things we started asking is like, let us know what are three ways that you need supporting service. What are three ways, three personal development goals that you have? And then we started working with the employer for them to tell us, give us your goals, give us what you have someone for 30 days, 60 days, 90-day goals, professional development. So this person that you hire is able to scale up and grow within your company. And how can we all communicate and stay? And not only that, with the how do we keep people engaged on a mobile app? Because it's the new technology for a lot of trendsetters right now, but people who have been formerly incarcerated, we had a guy who has been incarcerated for over 25 years that never heard of an app before. He was locked up when we had the phone. So when he came out, we're like, okay, this is gonna be our true G beta tester right here because he's able to do it and follow through, then we know we have something. And sure enough, he downloaded that app. We did the track for him that he wanted his goal. And he accomplished his skill. He was a champ of the app, put it like that. And he helped him so much. We also updated our onboarding that anyone that applies through the way out while they're filling their application, a resume is getting generated for them. So they'll be able to print out a resume. A lot of jobs that involve job seekers that are coming out or formerly incarcerated don't have a resume or do not know how to create one. So our system is going to allow them to actually be able to kick out a resume for them that they'll be able to use so they could continue applying with other employers.
All right, now there's one I don't know if you've heard, the champ of the app. For sure, we didn't have apps 25 years ago, and certainly not the way we envision them today. But for someone to come out and decide, hey, I'm going to embrace this, I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to become the champ of the app. That is absolutely awesome. Hats off to the gentleman who decided to persevere in order to make that done. Well done. But Ruben is not done yet because he's going to continue his journey. He wants to talk about how we're going to get some seed funding. Let's listen to this part of his story.
It's not as sexy as everything else that has already been in there. So when it comes to like the VC world, all right, we already know that 3% of black and brown people only get funding when they're doing a startup company. So now imagine if you're a black and brown individual and you're formerly incarcerated on top of that, and both of your co-founders are formerly incarcerated. What does this number look like? What does 3% look like out of that because of that? Did he just drop from 3% to 1%? So it's been challenging when it comes to getting funded with VC because in the VC world, you already know the return on investment is high. What is going to be my ROI if I invest money on you? We pretty much believe that an ROC, return of community. If you invest on your community, then it'll get you your ROI. But what we're trying to do is a social impact. We're trying to reduce recidivism and break that cycle of incarceration. Show people that you know what we're paying this much of money. I was like for prisons and everything. Why not invest it on something that we could help people be successful? So it's been challenging. Me and my partner pretty much did we bootstrapped this, am I right? But so far we've been blessed. Like I said, we've been happily being able to place people.
I think that's so cool. A lot of us have heard about ROI, return on investment, but how many have heard about ROC, return on community? Ruben's choice to invest in the community is part of what makes his model so powerful. And I don't think it's just limited to nonprofits, quite frankly. I think there's a lot of for business operations that actually get established because they want to help the community, because they want a greater, whether they set themselves up as a social impact business or not, that's beside the point. There's usually something that we're bringing to the table because we want it to be better. That's what we did at Milwaukee Small Business Coach. It's in our vision statement. We want to empower small businesses and entrepreneurs to have the tools they need in order to succeed because we believe that that's how neighborhood will thrive. That you've got awesome businesses around that you can walk to, that you enjoy, that you can shop at, that are part of the fabric of what you do in your community. Well, like you, I can't do this on my own. I want to thank Chris Crane for doing the music on both the intro and our outro. And I especially want to thank my amazing wife, Kate Halfwalker, for doing all the editing to make what you're listening come to life here. If you like what you're listening to, I really want to encourage you to like it, subscribe, share, and please drop a comment. So again, thank you for joining me on this episode of Entrepreneur Encounters. I'm Brent Halfwasson, Milwaukee Small Business Coach, and I want to invite Chris to take us out.
Ready to take